Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of Small Town Big Screen. I'm one of your hosts, Manny Manuel.
And I'm Kyle Robertson.
This episode, we'll be reviewing Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb.
The third installment.
It was released on December 19th, 2014, directed by Sean Levy, written by David Goen, Michael Handelman, and Mark Friedman, starring Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, Owen Wilson, and a plethora of other people. Had a Metascore of 47, a Letterboxd score of 2.8. It received no prominent awards or nominations.
The Teen Choice Awards aren't prominent?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Sorry. No. Filming locations include Kamloops, British Columbia, the Vancouver Film Studios, the UBC Robson Square campus, and Mammoth Studios in Burnaby, and then a whole bunch of other locations that we don't care about.
Yeah, whatever.
The plot: Larry Daly and his heroic friends embark on the greatest adventure of their lives as they travel to London to save the magic that, after dark, allows the museum's exhibits to come to life. Kyle, have you watched the Night at the Museum trilogy prior to this?
Really handily. I had seen the first two prior to this.
Okay.
I kind of love the series. I have a good nostalgia for it.
How old were you
when the first one came out?
That's 2006.
I was 7.
Okay.
Kind of right up my alley at
Definitely.
that age. Yeah. I was a museum kid too, so
Okay.
it was big for me.
Right. All right. And so was this your first watch of the
This
third
was
one?
my first watch of the third one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts? Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. I still have a good time with this series. And with this film, it doesn't hold a candle to the first one for me. But it's perfectly acceptable. It's a good kids blockbuster kind of thing.
Yep.
It had enough to keep me as an adult entertained. But I'm also still a museum kid at heart, so it might be part of that too for me.
That's fair.
But I just love the imagination of the series, and I love that imagination is tied to something very real. As a kid, you watch that movie, and then I wanted to go to a museum. And so that kind of thing was really cool. And I still kind of feel that with the third one, where I'm I kind of want to go see some dinosaur bones now and do something like that. So I had a surprisingly fun time. I feel like Ben Stiller he just wasn't quite the same.
I agree.
As the other two for me. However, I was really happy with the rest of the cast. Robin Williams, his part is kind of cut down from his previous parts in that series. But I thought he was still spectacular as Teddy Roosevelt. There's the Ben Stiller's son, Skylar.
Ginordo?
That's close, but that's not it.
I can look it up while you're talking about.
Giscondo.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Giscondo, sorry, no C. I love him. He's so funny.
I love him a lot.
Yeah, he's great, and he's really good in this. He's really funny and captivating, and the kind of the repartee that he has with Ben Stiller is really good. I think their dynamic is also really fun. I think it's well written, where we're so used to some parental tropes. We're still in on spoilers. I had to catch myself. We're so used to some parental tropes that you just didn't see as much here. So it was fun.
So I'd already seen this film prior to this review. My daughter and I watched the trilogy together, and I the second and third one were first watches for me. And I'm pretty sure I'd seen the first one. The first time I watched it, I didn't care for it. I'm talking about the first film. But watching it with my daughter elevated my experience. And so going into the second and third, she was so excited to watch them that it made it much more enjoyable for me. The third one, in my opinion, is still the weakest of the franchise, as it generally happens to be. But again, like you, I still had a good time. There's a lot to enjoy in here. Personally, I agree. I think Ben Stiller's just taking a paycheck. He is nowhere near as engaged as he is. Like the first one, he's legitimately... I'm not saying I'm not a Ben Stiller fan. I'm not saying that he's a good actor, but in the first one, he's enthusiastic about this role in this movie. In this one, there's like no enthusiasm whatsoever. And it's apparent, and it's kind of heartbreaking, to be honest. But everybody else is having a pretty good time. I agree. The Robin Williams part is really reduced. That made me sad, even more so knowing that this is his last film. But there's a lot to enjoy. It was fun. I had a good time. Not much more to add. Why don't we dive right into our 5 favorite things?
Let's do it.
Why don't you go first?
My number 5 favorite thing, Manny, I already touched on it a little bit, but it's just the imagination of it all.
Yep.
And this is maybe not a credit to the movie as much as like the series, but in this movie, like there were a couple of moments I wanted to highlight. For example, like I know it's kind of like a trope of the trilogy, but the lions coming to life in the square and then playing with the light. I thought that was really cute and fun. And Jed and Octavius, playing with the computer, and they've got the Roman soldiers clicking things, and the fight in the painting I just found it really imaginative, the surreal painting, and the way that they treated gravity in it was fun, and it just made it just has this level of imagination to it that I find really fun.
So you're just using the imagination thing to just pick out a whole bunch of favorite things in this.
But none of those things individually were none of them would have made my list.
Okay.
But it's the general creativity of the film, and
Sure.
those are just examples of it.
Sure.
But yes, you're right. So what's your number 5, Manny?
My number 5 is a quote.
Ooh.
Because I actually don't remember that quote the first time I watched it, and it quotes a documentary that I adore. Ooh. And it's right at the beginning, after the problems at the fundraiser or the special effects show, and Ben Stiller's character, is it Larry? Larry.
Yeah, Larry.
Larry is scolding Attila, who apparently had attacked a dolphin. And the quote is, "You were hacking into that thing like it was the Cove or something." And if you've seen The Cove, that is an incredibly important quote. If you haven't seen The Cove, I can't recommend it enough.
Okay.
It is awesome. Awesome, 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 but very disturbing, just so you know.
Okay.
It is hard to watch at times, but it is an incredible documentary. So that quote, I don't know how I missed it the first time I watched that film. Full on laugh on this time. I was like, yes, awesome. So my number 5 is that quote.
Amazing.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is it's Jed and Octavius. They're my favorite thing from like the first movie. This movie, I felt like they were still reduced from that like stature. But I just enjoy them so much, especially like I enjoy them the most at the beginning of the movie when they're just like playing and like they're messing around with the computer and they have that repartee. I'm an Owen Wilson fan as well, so I like him a lot in this. I think that they were used for like worse types of comedy later on in the movie. Like it kind of became a lot about that holding hands bit, and that wasn't as funny. But seeing them interact with technology and take it so seriously, that I really enjoyed. So that came in at my number 4.
All right. My number 4 is the Hugh Jackman and Alice Eve cameo. I love Hugh Jackman. I think at least the persona that he portrays publicly is just delightful. And this just plays right into that. So him being that actor on stage who's interrupted by Sir Lancelot, and just coming right out of character to play the character of Hugh Jackman is hilarious. And the whole joke about his name being Huge Ackman is awesome. I just had a great time with that scene because I'm a big Hugh Jackman fan. Obviously, as Wolverine, but so many other things he does. And honestly, like with everything, the press tour he did with Ryan Reynolds was just a delight to watch them play off each other. And it just shows that he has really great comedic timing. And he does have one comedy film that I know. He did a romantic comedy with Meg Ryan that I really enjoyed. The name of it I can't remember, and that's going to bother me as well. I'm starting to get old. Anyways, that scene was really fun, and I had a great time with it. That's my number 4.
I'm just going to get that movie for you. Kate and Leopold.
Thank you.
Got you.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
It's one of the movies where if you don't think too much about it,
Yeah.
it's very fun.
Okay.
But if you, I don't, because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But if you start piecing some of the things together in that movie, you're like, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Otherwise, really, like, it's super fun.
Yeah.
Jackman's awesome in it.
Nice.
Yeah. Definitely recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're number 3.
Well, I think I'm actually going to, just for fun, just because we're talking about it, I'm going to skip to my number 1, which was the Hugh Jackman.
That was your number 1?
Cameo. Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah. I regularly throughout this movie, I was just like surprised by the people in it for some reason, like as if I haven't seen the other movies before as well. But that one really caught me off guard. So I enjoyed that scene so much, and I thought both like Hugh Jackman and Alice Eve, were just like so funny in that scene. And like, to me, you just run away at some point, but they just like, they're talking him down in front of this audience so genuinely, and explaining acting to him. And I enjoyed that immensely. Yeah.
Awesome.
I had a great time with that.
Oh, that's your number 1. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I totally stole it from you.
That's okay.
All right.
I'm okay with that. Well, now I'll do my number 3 maybe.
Okay,
to
sure.
keep the continuity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
My number 3, Robin Williams. Going in and knowing this was his last performance, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I was paying a lot of attention to him. And he is really, really good. I mean, he's Robin Williams, of course, he's really good, but he's just really good at giving expressions and putting a lot into a very small amount of lines, and lines that aren't necessarily like emotionally important. Like, they're more like, well, let's go, guys. And he just makes it emotionally important somehow. Robin Williams was always really good at finding that chord and striking it correctly. He just hits the right beats at the right times. And I can see, like, while looking into things for this recording, there's a lot of discourse about how people thought that maybe he knew, that things would end soon. And that some of the lines and some of the emotion that he was giving in the film was connected to that. And I don't ever really buy into that.
I personally think that's a stretch, but
Yeah.
he would obviously know this is the last of the trilogy.
Yeah.
So, like we said, or like we say later, in the movie,
Like we say later.
it's 8 years in the making of working with the same crew and with Robin and these same actors. So knowing that you're going to say goodbye, and from everything I've heard, we heard with Sean Levy, again, you'll hear later on, but with other films, Sean Levy has a very familial set. And so if you've spent 8 years with this cast and crew, knowing that's going to come to an end, could be a little heartbreaking.
Yeah. And especially like his character in the movie is there to deal with like a little bit of mortality and things like that. So, and era's coming to an end kind of thing.
Yep.
So I think it was just like kind of a perfect storm. But I could definitely see where people were coming from. But again, I think I agree with you where I don't fully buy into it. However, I love him in this role, and every time I see him in that costume, it just brings me back to being a kid.
Oh, I love that.
A huge nostalgia train for me.
Sweet.
So, what's your number 3, man?
My number 3, you mentioned earlier. And that's why I gave you a little
jab.
A little jab,
Uh-oh.
because I'm like, you're stepping on stuff by including it in a generalization. My number 3 is the fight scene in the painting.
Perfect.
It's so inventive. Exactly what you said. The way that gravity works, the special effects that they used in it to make it come across believable is awesome. Obviously, it's not like photorealistic because they're inside of a painting. But at no point did I ever take myself out of the movie. I believed that they were in that painting. And the comedy and the action and the whole set piece is executed perfectly. And I loved it. I loved it the first time I saw it, and watching it again this time, I'm like, that is just absolute expert filmmaking on an action scene. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Nice.
3.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff in movies where like paintings blend in and animation gets mixed into live action. Like, I love that stuff. So yeah,
awesome.
I'm glad that was your number 3.
Thanks. Your number 2.
Number 2. I've touched on him already a little bit. Skylar Gusando.
Really?
Oh yeah, man.
It's your number 2.
He just makes me so freaking happy all the time, Manny. Like his face is just like, he reminds me of all the comedy he's ever done every time I see him. And I have such a good time watching him. And his line deliveries, especially at the beginning of this film, are just so perfect. Like they're so funny, but they're also completely believable to me as like speaking to your parent. Like it comes across so well, and it makes me wish that Ben Stiller from the first movie was in this movie.
Yeah. Oh,
because
yes.
that duo would have been so much funnier.
Yep.
But Skylar Gusando was fully pulling his weight in that. His deliveries are perfect. His timing is perfect. His expressions are perfect. Like you can see, especially in the scene where he's been caught throwing the party, you can see he's like mentally, you can see the gears turning of like trying to get out of responsibility for, this party that he's thrown. And also trying to like communicate what he feels about going to school. And this is the trope that I love they didn't get into, was Ben Stiller didn't just shut down not going to school. He agrees to kind of taking a moment and coming back to the conversation. And then when they do come back to it, he's open to like, oh, you don't have to go to school right away. Just let me hear you out. Let me hear what you want to do instead. And like, in fairness, like if any parent hears that you want to DJ in Ibiza, they would be right to be a little concerned.
Yes. Speaking as a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the way that they wrote that relationship and dealing with that topic. Especially again in the beginning of the film. I feel like the whole film kind of takes like a taper down. Like I was really into the beginning, and the stuff kind of unraveled towards the end. Like I feel like trying to connect all the dots, it just didn't fully get there at the end of the movie. But or maybe it was a little rushed, is maybe actually what I felt. But anyway, I had a lot of fun with Skylar Gusando, so he's my number 2.
Well, as anybody that listens to our other podcast knows, I'm a huge fan, because he played Jared in Booksmart, which is quickly climbing up my all-time favorite movie list. And he is one of the many reasons why I love that movie so much. He is awesome as Jared. So anytime he shows up in a movie, I'm like, Jared. Yes, my boy. I enjoyed him in this movie. 2 is so high. I love it though. I love it for you. Yes.
Well, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is another performance.
Ooh,
Yeah.
lots of performances today.
Yeah. It's Dan Stevens as Sir Lancelot.
Oh, nice.
I love that character.
Yeah. Really
I am a huge fan of that comedic trope of somebody kind of lost in time, or someone that believes that that's who they are when they're not. It is and the reason I like it, it is literally Buzz Lightyear. He is Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
And I love Buzz Lightyear so much. And so Sir Lancelot is basically just Buzz Lightyear in this movie. He just thinks he's Sir Lancelot. He has no idea that he is not the real Sir Lancelot. And I love that. That is, it's not my number 1, but it was very close.
Yeah.
And you'll find out why my number 1 is 1 after this. But I had such a great time with his performance. He knows exactly how to play this character. And like I said, he was given a blueprint. He literally just followed the Buzz Lightyear blueprint and nailed it. I love that character.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. He performs it perfectly, just kind of hitting like that incredible amount of confidence. Like that's what you need. You need that overconfidence to sell that kind of character. And he just hit the nail on the head with that. And the only thing that I didn't like was kind of at fault of the writing. I felt like his like character turn at the end in the last scene was just like not
agreed.
It happened so fast.
Totally.
He does everything you can to sell it. But yeah, the writing of that was just like weird.
I don't blame him. That's just
no, of course.
Yeah.
But I love a villain that is unintentionally the villain, like a villain that's like not a bad person, and he's like it's perfect. I also love how like willing he is to just like take in the son, like play the Skylar's character, and just like give him a knife, give him all this stuff to like immediately teach him to fight this Hydra and all that. I had a lot of fun with him.
awesome.
Oh, and he sells that cameo scene really well.
Yes, he does.
Like the complete like realization of, oh, this is pretend. What else is pretend? He sells it very, 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 very well, very convincingly.
Awesome.
So you're number 1.
My number 1
revealed.
Okay, so right up until the ending of the movie, Sir Lancelot was my number 1.
Okay.
So my number 1 is Ben Stiller saying goodbye to the characters.
Oh, yeah.
And it hit. I didn't cry, but it hit me deeper than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And the only thing that bugged me was they have these really great small short scenes with all the characters in the film except Pocahontas. They give her a little wave, toodles, as she walks away after having her unfilmed, and you have no idea what her and Teddy say, who their whole love story is one of the centerpieces of the first film.
Yeah.
Their goodbye is them talking off, basically almost off camera, so you don't get to see anything. And then she walks, little toodles, and then bye. But he has a scene with Attila, and the monkey, and Octavius and Jed, and of course ends with Teddy. But Pocahontas gets a little wave. So, Other than that, the scenes were really done well. It's one of the reasons I'm glad that they haven't made another Night at the Museum. Mm-hmm. If they want to continue the story, like they kind of hint at it afterwards.
There was.
I don't want them to.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. Whatever. If they make money, obviously they're going to make more.
Yeah.
Right? Hollywood's a business, but I love when it doesn't even have to be a trilogy. Just a film series wraps itself up in a nice way.
Yeah.
And I feel that they did that with this. And his goodbyes to each of the characters was heartfelt, touching, and real. And I loved it. And like I said, up until that point, I was like, wow, Sir Lancelot's easily my number 1. And I was watching these goodbye scenes, I was like, oh, this is good. I'm going to have to put this. And then the reason it elevates it up to number 1 is the saying goodbye to Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And then knowing that this is his last film, it hit pretty deep. Did make me cry, but getting to see Robin and saying goodbye to him was awesome. So that's my number 1.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. On second thought, it probably would have made my list if I had maybe been focusing a bit more on it. No, I love that as your number one, though. It is definitely a highlight for me. So on that note, we move on.
Yes.
To a peek.
No. What didn't we like about the film?
Oh, that's right. Oh, we have to do the bad parts.
Yes.
I already said mine, so I'm going to say it again really quick.
Okay.
It's the Lancelot ending turn.
Oh,
like
okay.
That writing, it's way too fast. Like there's no real resolution that happens in there.
Yep.
Because he just says the point of the movie and then is like, "Oh, I see it now." It's like, who wrote that? That doesn't work. Anyway, well,
3 people wrote it.
3 people wrote it.
Let's see. David Goyne, Michael Handelman, and Mark Friedman.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Didn't work for me. What was your least favorite?
Rebel Wilson, not funny.
Oh,
Not
that's
a fan.
too bad.
Not a fan.
Oh,
Yeah. Actively bad in this movie for me.
oh,
Really hated pretty much every scene she's in. Did not find her funny at all. At all.
I didn't have any problems with
I
that
am
Rebel
happy
Wilson in
for
this
you.
movie.
I wish I could say the same. I can't.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Goodbye. Good riddance. Fare thee well, I say.
I was actually really excited for her future.
No.
When Ben Stiller tells her tomorrow's gonna be the best day.
That's a
you've
great
ever
line.
had. That's a great line.
It is a great line. I wish it was to a better character. Yeah. No.
I'm so glad that we did this, Manny. Sorry, Rebel Wilson, if you're listening. But now we move on.
Now we move on to a peek behind the
A
curtain.
peek behind the curtain. Hello, and welcome to A Peek Behind the Curtain. This week we are joined by our special guest, Aaron Shufletoski. And thank you for joining us. We're, always a little bit behind the ball, I think, today. But we appreciate your patience and appreciate you joining us. And we're super excited to get to talk to you. So just to jump right in, what did you do on the set of Night at the Museum?
We'll just go jump right into Night at the Museum 3. Yes, that was my first and only experience of being an extra in the movie world, and it was a blast. I don't know if you've seen Ricky Gervais's show Extras,
No, I've never seen it.
and I think there's professional extras out there, and I think if I could relive my life, I would be a professional extra. It was just so much fun.
Nice.
Oh, I love that.
So how long was the shoot? What was the commitment?
It was a 2-day shoot, and it almost didn't happen for me
Oh, wow.
because it was very interesting. Because they put out these calls. It's very weird. It's a word of mouth.
Yeah.
You just hear from somebody, or you see a shady poster somewhere. Just come to this place and be a star, and you're like, this is weird. and they were looking for. So the first reason why I probably shouldn't have went was they said they were looking for Egyptian-looking men.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not Egyptian-looking at all, but I do get a good tan. And I had just been working for the Tronquil Farm Fresh, and we were doing the tunnel tours.
Oh,
Interactive tunnel tours, and I've always done a little bit of performative art, from music to comedy and stuff, and so I've been doing these tours, and I all of a sudden felt I was an actor. I can't remember if I think I did a play with the Kamloops Players, and I was like, oh, I want to somehow make it to be a film star. And my neighbor was a Teamster for the films, and he was like, oh yeah, you could be a star. And so there was this ad somewhere, and it was like, come and look specifically for Egyptian-looking men. And I went there, and it was just it was at Sahali Mall, and the mall was filled with guys that looked like Manny.
I wish I had seen the ad.
And just so they went through, and it was kind of weird where they had seamstresses, and they measured you up, and took your picture and stuff, and you went through these different rooms. And I know now that I guess you can tell from that it was a big budget project. It wasn't like something that was just really just, you know, it wasn't an artsy film or anything like that. It was big budget, but you don't know at all what it is or what it's for. It's just, they don't tell you anything. It's just come see this. And so I did that, and then it was, I think, weeks later. It takes a while, and I got a phone call, and so they said, okay, you had to be available Thursday, Friday. It was crazy at work. I just got a gig to host a comedy show with a hero of mine, Mike McDonald, and my friends were coming from Calgary to visit, and I was like, I got so much going on. I'm like, I have to be smart about this. I'm not going to be an actor. And so I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And they phoned me back 3 times. The casting director was like, no, we need you. You have to come do this. And I was like talking to my friends. I was like, I don't know, you guys are coming out. Do you mind? Like, I'm going to have to be gone for 2 days of your visit. They're like, you're going to be in a movie, man. Like, you got to do this. Like, do it. And I talked to my comedy partner, and he's like, yeah, if you miss the show, we'll work it out. Don't worry. And so I said, yeah, and did it. And so then they said, okay, here you go. Meet us at the Sahali Mall at 5 a.m. on Thursday morning. And we went out there, and I got there, and it was just like, there was just a sea of Egyptian men. And then there was 5 very European white looking guys. And so they put us on these buses, and they don't tell you anything. They just check your name, and they get your information, and they put you on this bus, and then they just start driving. And we drove out to Wallachine.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like so spooky. Like, you're on and nobody knows what's going on the bus. We're like talking like stories. Like, are we like? Did they like hijack us? Are we going to the desert hills? Are we like actually going to be picking potatoes or something like that? Like, what's going on? And so then we went down this gravel road, and it's all bumpy and stuff, and around all these winding switchbacks and stuff. And then all of a sudden it just opened up, and like, it was just like a sea. And if you watch the intro of the Night at the Museum 3, it's just like that. And you just come across like this huge work camp, and there's just like tents and trucks and cars and just all this activity. And it's just like, whoa, right? It's like pretty cool. And then they haul you off this bus, and they herd you into these tents, and they measure you up, and you do makeup and stuff. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I was clean shaven at the time, and I was like, I just like had this weird feeling. I was like, you know what? I think I should have a mustache. So I decided, like, I had like a week's notice. I'm like, I'm gonna grow a mustache in a week. And so I had like, it wasn't a full on mustache, but it was a dark mustache. And so then they separated us when we came into the first tent, and they separated us into Egyptian workers.
Okay.
Like all the, the guys that are, digging the tombs and stuff. And then there was we were scientists, the 5 expedition leaders.
Right.
And that's why they needed us, because they needed to have these, the white guys.
Yep.
And it was just, and so I felt, I don't know, a little odd, a little tokenism there, like used. But it was cool, because then they took us into wardrobe, and they dressed us up, and you got to pick your own, like, oh, and this is why I knew why the mustache, because they did wardrobe at the casting. So they brought us through, and one of the rooms was, they dressed us in clothing, and I could tell by the clothes, like, that I was, okay, this is early 1900s, it's khaki and stuff. Like, I could tell it was like Indiana Jones, like, explorer type clothing, lots of, the khakis, they had pith helmets and stuff like that. So I felt like early 1900s, definitely mustache for that. So I grew the mustache for that. And so then they had our pictures posted everywhere. And so then they put us in the exact same wardrobe as from the casting. And like, I can't believe like the manpower all behind this, the experts that they put us through into makeup then. And there was a lady, and she was like, she darkened, she was like, I love your mustache. She darkened it a bit more just to make it more prominent on camera. And she's like, oh, with your jawline, you'd be definitely a Hollywood star. You've got the perfect jawline. And that's why I grew the beard to hide it. It was just like, it was too powerful.
Yeah, you couldn't let it be too easy, right?
I get it. Right? You beat him away with a stick.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be a star.
But it's just like, that was my first experience of how just, I found out there's two types of people in Hollywood. There's the humans, and then there's the game players. And like, everything to do with my experience was just, everybody was just so humanizing and just casual. There was no ego involved. It was just so cool. Like, just, this makeup girl, there was at least, I'm going to be saying this over again, but it was 150 extras at least on this shoot. And just hey, how are you? And just having a conversation and stuff, and just getting to know you and stuff, and just everybody professional, super, this was their jobs and stuff. And so I'm wondering, I think this was, I meant to look up the date. This must have been 15 years ago now.
11. I think it's 2014.
Yes.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah.
2014. Yeah.
So I think this was sort of the golden time of film in BC at the moment, and just everybody was paid well and jobs were plentiful. It was before the Netflix stress of filming. And so I think everybody was just, very relaxed and just very, very cool and casual and just friendly.
Nice.
Just so friendly, like, like the casting director, like personally phoning me like 3 times and just like, what can we do to make you say yes? Like, we for some reason, you're the face we need for this background scene. And I counted, I show up 8 times in Night at the Museum 3 for a total screen time of 1.8 seconds, which in extra time is a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, it's ridiculous. And just how much attention to detail they put into the extras for just nothing. Like, the whole point of, if you notice the extras, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it was so neat that way. And just the secretive. You don't know what it is. Nobody will say anything. And then there's rumors, like, you're just like, what are they filming? And you have to guess, and it's so interesting for that. And they, no pictures on, they take your cell phones away and put you into the corral. And they actually, I think they call it a corral.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with there's craft services there, right? And my first I would say 6 hours of film experience was just sitting in a corral. It was plus 35 degrees in the plains of Wallachine, right? And the funniest part was, so my day job is a surveyor. I'm a land surveyor. And so I was at the time surveying a mine site for the rail yard across from where we were filming. And so I played hooky from work. As I said, it was very busy at work in there because this mine was going. It's the only mine that services one of the big railways in Canada. There's only 2 of them, so one of the 2. And like they're like, no, we need you. So I played hooky from work, and I'm sitting in the corral watching the job site across the river. It's just like, just fate.
Yeah.
And so then they said, okay, so we like 6 hours of us just sitting there as they set up the site, and I'm watching the survey crew across the river doing the work that I should have been doing, and I'm watching. They actually had surveyors on the site, on the set, and they were mapping out points of the rock bluff behind, because then digitally they use that survey to put in the pyramids.
Oh, cool.
So it was 6 hours of me watching people do my work. And then they say, okay, everybody, now it's props time. So they took the 145 Egyptian workers and they gave them all pickaxes and shovels and wheelbarrows and stuff like that. And they took the 5 of us and they brought us over to survey equipment. And they said, you're the explorers, you're the surveyors on this site. And I found out later that if you're an expert in something as an extra, you get paid more.
Yep.
So I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I should be getting some expert pay. And on my last day, I brought that up to them. They're like, no, that doesn't matter. But it was still, I think they paid us $25 an hour plus overtime. And I think we did 12 hours and 14 hours.
Nice.
So like really decent pay and
Yeah.
good hours. So but so I'm sitting there in the corral and I'm talking to, you're just talking to this guy beside me, and he's semi-professional. He's been doing extra work for quite a bit. He's been, this is, Kamloops, there's been lots of stuff going on in Kamloops recently, and he's been on all of them. And he's like, you know what? I got a system and I know how to get on film. He's like, you don't know this, but there's all these extras. You're not going to see everybody on film. So I've got a system and I'll tell you how to show up on film. I'm like, how many times have you been on film? None. I've never been on film yet, but I've got it down. I've got it down pat. I know what to do now to get on film. And so he's like, he's coaching me and he's like, stick with me and I'll make sure that you get on film. And I did, like I said, 8 times for 1.8 seconds of film time. And so he was like, so we set up and it's so cool. Like I had no training at all, but it's so neat. I did the on-set course training after I did this, and how it's so neat how they do it. And I can't remember, I was watching a show with David Duchovny about, and I don't know what movie it was, but it was like a movie about making a sitcom, and David Duchovny was the star. And if you ever want to see how they film stuff, that is like exactly how they do it, with the back to ones, everybody, and speed and rolling and in the can. Like it's so cool how like it seems cliche and it seems like like they're just doing it for the movies, but it's really how they do it.
Yep.
It's so surreal.
Yeah.
When you're put on set. And so they stationed us all out. And so I really wish I could remember this guy's name. And he said, okay, you can tell. He's like, see how that camera is way over on the bluff over there. So it's a super wide shot. So make sure no matter what you're doing, every time they say roll, do the exact same thing over and over again. Because if you do something different, they'll kick you out. Do the exact same thing. But make sure, because the camera's so far away, that it's a big movement. He's like, don't do anything small. You won't be able to see yourself. But do something big. So I was like, okay. So I had my survey instrument pointed the one way. And they said, action. And I looked through it. And I turned it. And I took off my pith helmet. And wiped my brow. And then looked through it. And then put my hat. Like big exaggerated movements. And then when you watch the movie, it's just this quick pan, and you can see this little tiny speck in the distance. And you can see that I raised my arm up and take my hand up. And so it was like, it was totally right. Like just how he said, like, just, and he's like, okay, this camera's up close and stuff like that. So make sure that you're doing something emotional. Like make sure that you've got something on your face, that you're thinking something, because, you know, you got to make it worthwhile. And so then we had this one scene, and it turned out it's a big scene. It's the revealing of the tablet.
Yeah. And
so he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. They're gonna have the tablet. They're gonna reveal it. We're in the background. There's the main character, who's Dick Van Dyke as a kid, and then they've got the Indiana Jones guy, the interpreter, and then there's this two guys in the background. He said they're gonna reveal it, open it up. We're gonna look at each other, and we're gonna nod. And so they say action. They open it. We look at each other. Nod. They say cut, and then they go, we're like, oh, and every time they say cut, you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? Because you can see, like, they say cut, and the director's like, hey, why are you doing that, and do that, right? And so you don't know if you're gonna get yelled at and stuff, and then they just say, okay, reset to one. Like, okay, that was a good choice. Action. They reveal it. We look at each other. Nod. And then that's in the movie. You can see it's like so brief, but they reveal it, and you can see us look at each other and nod. Like yep, there it is. It's just so silly. He just like all these little tips. He was telling me, he's okay. He said you got to make sure you know where your cameras are, because once they start shooting, you can't change it. So if you start filming it and realize the camera's behind you, it's too late. You have to find your camera, make sure you're in front of it so that you can get that FaceTime. I've heard stories, and I don't know if this is true, but if you can get a line, that's the thing to do as an extra, is somehow get a line.
Yeah.
But I've heard also, and again, I don't know, that if you try to ad-lib a line and stuff like that, the directors will throw you out. And
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because there's a very different pay scale for getting a line, and a different credit too. So it is the coveted, though, extra thing to do. There's like the extra on Friends who ended up with a recurring role, right? The barista, or something. Yeah. So that's like
that name's gonna bother me all night. Damn it.
What was really funny though is we're doing all these scenes and stuff, and then there was just guys. They have like little they look like baseball bases, and they put them all out, and then we're just watching. They weren't extras, they were just people that just standing on these pads, and we couldn't figure out what was going on with that. We're watching, and they were doing different camera angles and stuff and setting things up, and we're setting the heat, and then they said okay, we're ready to go, and the people just left. And then that's when the actors came in. So we were watching the stand-ins.
Gotcha.
And I was like, that's the one thing I wouldn't want to be, is a stand-in. Because that's really, you're just standing there.
Yeah.
You don't get to do anything. And you're not on camera.
Yeah.
I think they pay you more for that.
I'm actually not sure. Yeah.
But I recommend, from my experience, is if they offer you between extra and stand-in, is don't go for stand-in, because that's all you're doing, is you're just standing and just like marking the spot. Yeah. But then it was so cool was then they brought in the actors, and I don't think we knew still what was going on. We just knew that we were in some sort of adventure. It was ancient Egypt. We didn't even know it was ancient Egypt because we didn't. There wasn't any pyramids there, right? Because they're going to I saw them surveying, so I knew they were going to do something later, but we didn't know at the time what it was. We just knew that we were on this site. Whether it just really felt, it really felt Raiders of the Lost Ark, just with the set, and then the actors come in, and I recognized, I'm like, oh wow, it's Matt Fuhrer.
Yeah.
From Max Headroom. And I was just like, that was my first moment of being starstruck. I'm like, I'm in a movie with Matt Fuhrer, and he's walking by and he looks at me and he's like, that's a nice mustache. And I thought that was just like so. I'm like, wow. I'm like, no idea what movie this is, but I'm in a movie now with Matt Fuhrer, and it was just so cool. And now the actors were on set, and it was just so different. It was just the energy just all of a sudden changes. And then the director came on, and so I realized now that we must have had a Unit 2 director doing all just some background shots and stuff. I remember. So the first 6 hours was in the corral. My next 4 hours on set was trying to get the camels to cross the berm.
Oh no. Did they have like live camels?
They had live camels.
Oh wow.
And they tried to get them on top of this berm, and they had the largest drone I've ever seen in my life. It had like 16 rotors on it. And this thing, when it took off, and this is as we said, it was 11 years ago. And I'm pretty sure the drone safety requirements were a little bit different. They were just like, our safety walkthrough was heads up.
Nice.
We're gonna be flying this because it had like a full size studio, like the camera size. Like I don't realize like how big those cameras really are. Like they're huge, and they strap it to this drone, and it takes off. It's just the loudest noise ever, and it scared the hell out of these camels. And so the camels just they'd launch the drone, camels would lay down, and they spent 4 hours trying to get, and you can watch the very intro, there's the camels. I think the camels have more screen time than me, but it's about 3 seconds of these camels, and they spent 4 hours on these just get that one shot.
Well, camels had a better jawline, apparently.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's just like, and when you're just thinking the whole time, you're just judging what's the cost per minute going on, but that's what they want. They really want this scene with these camels walking across. And it's just, when do you give up? Never. You just keep going until you get the shot.
Once you're that many millions in, you just got to commit.
And so we're doing more background shots and stuff, and it was pretty cool. And then and I didn't know at all the director at all. I'd never seen any of the Night at the Museums before that. My son was 11. What did we said it was 2011?
2014.
2014.
So he's probably filming in 2013.
2013. So he was 13 at the time. I think he must have been. I think we watched Night at the Museum 1. I was a huge Ben Stiller fan. Still am. But I didn't know the director. And so we were doing all these little scenes and stuff, and then the director came right up to me, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Sean. I'm the director, Sean Levy, who now I know directed Daredevil versus Wolverine, like huge, like just and he's like, "Hi, my name's Sean. I'm the director. What's your name?" "I'm Aaron." He's like, "Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you." He's like, "For this scene, I would really like you," and I don't remember his directions exactly, but he was just like, "I just want you to like just change your body position just over here." I can't remember the scene at all, but I just remember something very, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
He just came over. He's like, "Aaron, just do this, do that, and it'd be great." I'm like, "Okay, thanks." And then we continued on the day. The next day, this is like, a full day later, he's been dealing with 150 people. We're shooting something else. And he's like, "Hey, Aaron, I need you to do this for me on this scene." I didn't remember his name. There's one director, Sean Levy. There's 150 of us, and he remembers my name. And like that's when I realized like there's two types of people in Hollywood, and like what I don't think I'll ever have a chance to meet him ever again. I don't know if he's gonna watch this podcast, but like just that moment of a Hollywood director remembering my name just really changes perspective. You're just like I really got a whole different thing. It's not just a machine. These are people, and just like the wardrobe people that are helping out, and the makeup girl I met earlier, and just all the extras and stuff. It was just a real great family experience. Just everybody working together, and that's when kind of things really went for a wild ride, because then they went and they took us aside. They said, okay, out of all the 150 people, they picked 3 laborers and 2 scientists. It was me and the fellow that
Your
was
head
like,
nod buddy.
this is how we're gonna get on film, and they got us to take a photo with just sort of the exhibition, the exploration crew.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They took this photo, and through this photo of us all standing together, I am now in a scene as an extra with Dick Van Dyke, Mickey Rooney, Ben Stiller, because Ben Stiller finds this picture
That's
in a
right.
book, and he shows it to Mickey and Dick. And who's the third fellow?
Oh, I can get that. That's gonna bug me
Yeah.
because
I can
see
picture him.
I can see his face because he's also in Demolition Man.
Yeah.
He actually recently passed away.
I can picture the picture that you're in now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And that's such a cool story about Sean Levy too. Like, it's always nice to hear when, like, it sounds so simple to remember someone's name, but like, as you say, like when there's 150 people and it's only been a day, it's really cool. And it's nice to know that some of the bigger Hollywood powers do that.
Yeah.
His name's Bill Cobbs.
Yes.
Yeah, he passed away last summer.
Oh.
Almost exactly a year ago. June of last year.
That's sad to
Wow.
hear.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, though, that scene was filmed before the picture was taken. So through the magic of maybe changing like a poster without anybody knowing it, they were able to change the photo. So it's so funny that I get to say that I'm in a scene, but they Ben and Dick Van Dyke never actually saw me. I thought, if this was the 80s, they would have made sticker books and like all the film, or maybe if it was Night at the Museum 1, they definitely would have put that picture in a book somewhere. Like, it would have been like a collectible.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I like. My fingers were crossed when they were taking this picture. I was like, they better make like some sort of thing to go with the movie. 'Cause like, that's, I'll be living forever in that picture.
That would be a perfect like collector's box set item. That would be great.
Yeah. And so I did buy like the full version DVD/Blu-ray to see if there was like
Yeah.
anything in there. Nothing.
Oh man, they did you dirty.
But then they kept the small group of us, and we were the ones that were held for the second day of filming. So the first day of filming was just all the big scenes, the working scenes, the digging and stuff. One thing that was crazy that kind of blew my mind and kind of destroyed the movie magic was, so they filmed all the scenes of them walking across the dig site, of them having all these conversations and stuff, working away and doing all the things. And then at the end of the day, they then stood around in a circle and re-recorded all the dialogue
Yeah.
of what was just said while they were doing all the things. And I was like, how are they going to hear them over there? And it was all dubbed in later.
Nice.
But they took that, and so the small group of us then was all in all. The second day was just all the small scenes, so like all the things of us actually working together. And I remember now what so the second day, so the first day Sean told me to. Sean came out, he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" "I'm Aaron." He's like, "I'm Sean, I'm the director." He's like, "Can you turn around? All I can see is your mustache for this one scene." He's like, "Can you just please, just for this one scene, it's too much. It's too much. Turn around just for this one scene, please."
Yeah.
And then the second day, he came up. He's like, "Aaron, come with me." He's like, "I want you to, in this scene, you're going to be like arguing with this guy over this staff. Like he's going to be wanting to, like, there's a sandstorm coming in and everybody's like in a panic and stuff like that. And he just wants to throw it in the back of the truck. And you're like, no, we got to pack this away carefully. Like, so I want you to, like, argue with them. But, remember, you got to take careful with this stuff. And so it was kind of neat the directions there. But that's the first day was find out my name to hide the mustache, and then the second day he like brought me in. But then that whole day was all these little scenes working together, really close up. And so instead of now with the extras, now we were just chatting with the actors, and this is when you realize that there's the different classes of actors, and so. Matt Fuhrer and the small boy, they would vanish. They were like, they would film their scene and then they'd be gone. But then the other guys would just kind of hang out and chat. And the one fellow who was playing the guide, he was excited because he had just had his big break the weekend before. In Vancouver when they were filming X-Men. And he was filming X-Men and he got kicked in the chest by Mystique. And he's like, "That's my big break." He's like, "You're going to get to see me kicked in the chest by Mystique."
That, to be fair, I'd be excited about that.
So would I.
And then the guys are like, "Were you in like full riot?" He's like, "Yeah, like, I'm wearing a full mask, helmet and stuff. I'm just, a bad guy." Number 5, you can't see who I am, but I know that's me. Getting kicked in the chest by Mystique. So we did all these filming. So that was really cool, just like hanging out with the, they're not the A-list movie stars, but they're career actors. And just listening to their conversation is very funny. It's just it's the extras conversations, but just beefed up a little bit.
Yep.
And then the end of the day, realizing all of a sudden the mood really changed at the end of the day. So this was the last day of filming the Night at the Museum trilogy. And this has been the same crew for 3 films, same director, same assistant director. And all of a sudden, they just bring everybody in. And they're like, "Okay, we're going to take now a moment to say thanks to everyone who's been a part of this film." And, we're standing with these people that have invested so many years of their lives together. And they didn't say like, "Okay, get these extras out." They're not, this is now going to be a private moment of the real people that made the movie. It was just everyone there at that time, just bringing in like, you were a part of this. And that was one of the coolest things, was just, and listening to Sean had a huge speech prepared.
That's awesome.
About just the experience that everybody had making and now I go back and watch the movies and like, just, how they were pretty culturally changing, I think, for, they were significant. It was Robin Williams' last movie ever. and there's so many famous people in the movies, and just listening to Sean kind of just lay it all out about everybody's experience, and again that you're a part of this. Come on in. It was maybe only 2 years of your life, or 2 days of your life, not a lifetime, and it was just, that was so moving. Like, just I feel myself kind of,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing to be able to be. I can't imagine what it would be like to be at the end of a trilogy. Like, the end of a movie is already, like, emotions can come up for a lot, and, like, you get some of the like you say, like, the director might come and give a speech at the end of a movie kind of thing, but at the end of a trilogy, when it's been the same people, I can't imagine that kind of atmosphere, like the amount of work that they've poured in, and that's amazing that they included everyone like that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
8 years.
8 years, hey?
2006 to 2014 between the first and the third.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a lot.
That's amazing. Well, rarely do we have someone answer all of my questions before I ask them.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I kind of just went
No,
out
no,
there.
it was like
Pure
amazing.
gold.
Yeah.
Pure gold.
No, yeah, this has been great. I do have one separate question, like, so less about your experience on the movie, but what do you think the impact of a movie like this is in Kamloops? And, like, did you notice any kind of, like, cultural effect? Were people excited to, like, talk to you about the, like, what happened and the filmmaking of it?
Yeah, I wished this was before, like, we had big Facebook groups or anything like that, and they took all our phones away, so like, it was really hard to get contact information. I know I remember we had, we sort of like we've of course we found out, it was when Sean, that's when we found out what movie it was, when Sean came out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he came out and he said, "Okay, everybody, the cat's out of the bag. You're on the set of," because he came out, he did a preamble.
Yep.
This is okay, folks. This is what we're doing. This is Night at the Museum 3. Kind of get your heads into it. This isn't an arts movie. This is professional. I believe it was the Wrangler that gave this speech, but then I remember Sean did. I think maybe on the second day when it was just the five of us. And then we knew what it was then. So I think we made a pact that, okay, we're all going to get together on the first night of screening when it's in Kamloops. We're going to go to the Cineplex first. That's the only way we could communicate, was just remember, find out when the first screening is. We'll go to it then.
Nice.
And I was out of town working, so I never got to go to that. But I heard rumors from other people that, like, there was a lot of people there, and it was like hooting and hollering and stuff.
Oh, that's
and just
awesome.
I remember when I did get a chance to, I took my son to the theater, and I remember, like, just elbowing him so hard because that's one thing. Like, I'm seeing it on, I go put it on the computer screen. I tried to find it. It's unfortunately not on YouTube anywhere. You can't find any clips or anything like that. But on the big screen, I just remember, like, that was like, that mustache was like 8 stories tall. It was like, so there was no mistaking.
Yeah.
When you're on screen, on the big screen like that, it was so cool.
That's awesome.
And like, it was like there. I remember for a while there, you'd bump into people, and just being like, I remember you from somewhere. And it was like, oh, nice museum, yeah. And there was a bit of I bet you we could start a Facebook group up with and stuff, like, because there's so many people, and it does. And since it's such a good experience, I think it really encouraged people to try out for other extra opportunities.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it was, like I said, it paid really well. My one tip that I got from my Teamster buddy was, when you get your check, you deposit it immediately.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't want to play games with that check.
Yeah. Yeah, because everything's got weird. They create company names and stuff to keep it all secret.
Yeah. They also like their money, not all of them, but some of them, it comes in weekly. And so they might have budgeted your pay for a week and then used that money the next week because they saw they still had it. And then when you go to cash it, that week's is lower. Anyway, stuff happens that there's no malintent. But yeah, I agree. You catch that right away.
But yeah, definitely, like there was a I remember there was a solid group of people that came out of that like really grew from that experience.
Amazing. So would
Sweet.
you work on films again going forward?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I really should have went out for that Santa film in
Right.
in Sun Peaks. I just found with my day job and my night job of running a local arts venue, it's a time commitment, because really, when you sign up for an extra, they want, you're blocked in, and like they take you out on a bus and you come back in on the bus. And there's no way, like, you can't be like, well, I got to get off early at 3:00 this day.
Yeah.
Like you're there until they release you. And so definitely I wish there was a lot more opportunities. And I encourage anybody, like, if you find that you just have time, and even if you don't fit the criteria of what they're looking for, they might see something in you and just anyway say, no, we really need you in this, and harass you until you say yes.
Yeah. Well, before you go, because that's all my questions. Did you have any?
No, he covered everything
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Before you go, tell us a little bit about the Effie.
So the Effie is a small venue in town. It's a rental facility, an assembly hall, that we provide a performance hall for anybody that wants to perform, rehearse, or film in. And so we've actually we started off doing comedy shows and music shows, and we're actually getting more requests. I've got I believe it is a trumpet player from some orchestra in Ontario that is traveling through BC and desperately needs a place to rehearse.
Oh, nice.
And so, with the large trumpet, it's, not, she's looking for a place to make a lot of noise and not disturb people. And so she's looked us up and is going to be doing there. We've got a couple of people been filming music videos on our stage. It's a very wide stage with some good lighting. So we've had a couple of music videos be filmed there. We've got some people are filming a 24-hour film competition inside the space. So it's a full theater venue that you can then, depending on what support you need, we can add production value. We did a couple StoryHive productions there as well. So it's good audio, video, lighting, stage performance. And so we're trying to make it more of a collective, get people involved in Kamloops. I find the hardest part about getting Kamloops people involved in things is that Kamloops people are involved in things. Everybody is really involved in doing something. So it's really hard to get people together to do your thing when they're all doing their own thing. And so really, but that's what we're trying to do with the collective is just let's pool our resources. Let's not try to do all our own little things and bring it together. I've also found that Kamloops has been blessed by very, very cool venues throughout its whole history. We've got the Blue Grotto in town. We've got the Paramount, which is a beautiful theater. We've got the Pavilion, which is a nice little black box space. We got the Sagebrush, which is haunted and looks cool. and our own space, the Effie, used to be Joe's Cabaret, and it was the Stagehouse Theater, and it was Stefano's. There was the Blue Max. There was the Max. Kamloops has always had cool venues, and they don't realize that those places don't exist anymore. And so people are, I think Kamloops people take it for granted. They're like, yeah, I can go see a cool band, a cool show. We got music in the park every night during the summer. They don't feel threatened, and they feel kind of blasé. I'll catch the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Where everywhere else in the country, we continually, every artist that comes in that's touring says, these places don't exist anymore. Kamloops doesn't understand what they have, that, you have to support this because they don't exist anymore. The bands are playing in the breweries, which are just, the acoustics are bad. People aren't there to listen. The comedy shows are happening in, not on stages, but on like milk crates and stuff in places. And so I just would really love Kamloops to just, feel a little, you should feel a little afraid.
Yeah.
Because these venues are not surviving. But maybe there's something special about Kamloops that just, maybe Kamloops is just a great venue growing place like mushrooms, and they just, no matter what, there's always going to be another one sprouting up in Kamloops.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And where can people find information about the Effie?
effieartsco.ca is the website. You can find everything there, how to volunteer, how to find what shows you want to see, how to rent the venue, anything you need.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Aaron. Thanks for joining us and telling us your incredible story. That was
Yes.
awesome.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And yeah, I really hope that the Kamloops film industry really continues to be vibrant. And it ebbs and flows. There's struggles, but there's triumphs, and just enjoy what you get to experience when it's happening, because you never know what you're going to miss.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, now we're going to transition into Kyle's cool facts. Done.
Thank you, Aaron.
Welcome back. We just had a great conversation with Aaron, whose last name I'm not even going to attempt because I would butcher it and probably make him feel bad. And he gave us gold.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
It
That
was
interview was great.
Incredible. So, not going to butcher your last name, Aaron, and I'm not going to make a fool of myself. So, but we're back with Cool Facts with Kyle, where I get to get some tasty treats.
Usually,
Yeah.
you can be the judge how tasty they are this
Okay.
time.
Fire away.
Cool fact number 1. Thank you for the visual aid.
I'm trying.
Sorry, just the listeners wouldn't get to see that, and it made me laugh, so I felt like I had to explain that. This movie pulled in $363 million
What? What?
at box office. I believe global box office.
Oh, I know that's global.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no way that's domestic.
It still pulled in over 100 mil domestically.
yeah, 100 mil
Yeah, yeah.
makes sense domestically.
Yeah, yeah.
300 mil is like, what?
363 million.
If it
global
pulled
box
363 domestic, there would be more of them.
office. Oh yeah, definitely.
363 and they still haven't made another one? That's surprising.
It did it on a budget of 127 million, making this the worst performing financial film and critical, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, that's not surprising.
Yeah, no. In the franchise history. However, it still made money.
Yeah.
When you it's close, but that doesn't consider home video, where they made over 20 million. And there was another metric that I didn't write down because I thought I'd remember it. But there was another metric that added some more money to that, and it also doesn't consider merchandising and things like that. So they most likely, I mean, you can never really say what the marketing budget is. You usually double their operating budget, and
Which is messed up.
yeah, oh yeah. But you can see they still made money with this film, and it was the worst performing film in the franchise,
Yeah.
financially. So this franchise made crazy money.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool fact number
Okay.
1.
I like it.
Thank you. This movie was dedicated. Cool fact number 2. Thank you, Manny. Visual aid number 2 as well. This movie was dedicated to the memories of not only Robin Williams but also Mickey Rooney. I knew it was wrong. I was gonna say Ricky Mooney, and that's wrong.
Robin Williams passed away before this movie came out?
Yes, and so did Mickey Rooney.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it says in my notes that they both passed away before it was released. So yes,
Mickey Rooney doesn't surprise me, but I'm going to check the Robin Williams thing.
do it.
Keep going.
Yeah. That's it. That's the cool fact. They both were really fun in this franchise and in film history in general. So I kind of just wanted to take a minute to recognize both of them and their work in this movie, this franchise, and in film in general. And just we really appreciate what they did for the art. What'd you find?
Yeah.
Yeah.
August of that year.
Oh, wow. And this film came out in December.
Yeah.
Cool fact number 3. Ooh, the German 3. Wow. Little Inglorious something I can't say reference.
Inglorious Bees?
Inglorious Bees. The kids that take the picture on the bus of the whole group going after Lancelot. Do you know who those kids are?
The kids taking the picture.
Yeah. You shouldn't know. They're Ben Stiller's kids. Their names, Ella and Quinn.
Okay.
There were other, the director's daughter is the Sophie that appears in the party scene.
Okay.
And her name is Sophie. And there was 1 or 2 other like small cameos from like crew member families and things like that. So that was kind of fun.
That is nice.
Once I knew that, I was like, that's cool. I would do that. I would just throw people in my movie that I know. I think that's fun. Cool fact number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1 in my heart. Number 4 to the listeners.
Okay.
The visual aids just get better. So this being Robin Williams' last performance is actually a contested statement.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. He has a film called Boulevard, which, and I know my opinion on this. My opinion is that this is his last on-screen performance. Not Boulevard, but Night at the Museum. Boulevard hit festivals in 2014 before Night at the Museum came out.
Mm-hmm.
However, it hit theaters and had its theatrical release in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So people think that maybe it's his last performance. I don't believe that. I don't think Boulevard was a particularly big theater movie either. It was much bigger in its festival run. From what I am, not from my memory, but from what I am researching. I have seen Boulevard though, and Robin Williams is really good in it. He plays it's been a while, but he plays a man who is kind of too into a relationship he has with a male prostitute, a young male prostitute. And it's about the emotional connection that he gains and trying to help this person out who, like, this person doesn't want or need his help, really, and just how stuck he is in his own life. It's a really complicated performance. I think Robin Williams delivers very well. I think the movie as a whole doesn't match Robin Williams' level of complicated that he's able to portray. I think the movie, other than the writing of the characters, is more simplistic, but it's perfectly good independent film. I enjoyed it a fair bit. I think it was a 3.5 for me.
All right.
Yeah. But some people say that's his last film, and then he has a voice performance that also came out in 2015, but not the same. I call this his last performance. I don't know what your thoughts would be on that.
It's up in the air. I don't care enough.
Yeah.
To me, this is his last one. If people want to argue the Boulevard thing, go ahead. I'm not gonna fight you on it. I don't care.
So
for me, this is the last one.
Yeah. And part of the big reason that people like to say this is his last one, and I don't mean like to as in like this is the convincing thing, but it makes you feel better, is his last line, which is "Smile, my boy, it's sunrise." And I think that is a wonderful line to leave cinema on, if you've got to have one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it makes me feel a little better.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So those are my cool facts.
I love them, as
Thank you.
always.
I appreciate it.
Now we move on to
Our small town.
Small Town Impact Cinematic Imprint.
That's it.
That's right.
So, as always, I reached out to our friends at the Thomson-Nicola Film Commission.
Mm-hmm.
The team there supported us an amazing amount during season 1, and
Yep.
they have decided to continue to do so. And they
Thank
sent
you.
us some cool stuff. So, this film only shot for 2 days during mid-May here in Kamloops.
We learned that.
We did.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. However, they required 2 weeks of prep and 2 weeks of wrap in order to accomplish those 2 days, which is just crazy. I mean, it just speaks to the scale of this movie. I always the logistics of any big budget thing in any industry is crazy, but the logistics of making movies, the amount of prep and wrap that you have to do is just wild. And we heard it from Aaron too,
Yep.
where the amount of work that goes into it is just insane. And this was no different. For those 2 days that make up one opening scene, how many millions of dollars would they have spent? I couldn't say. Unfortunately, I can't say. I have been able to say in the past, but not today. Moving on. So they filmed this in the more desert area near Cache Creek. However, they had to bring in many loads of sand in order to fully accomplish the Egyptian visit or the Egyptian transition of the area, which was probably a big part of their prep. Lastly, it's a short list today. The casting call for extras went out to locals, and we heard from, obviously, Aaron. The phrase that they used directly was looking for Egyptian-looking men. One of those men who answered the call was a current city councilor, Bill Sarai. And I actually reached out to Bill, and Bill was kind enough to provide us with a quick description of his experience.
Nice.
Yeah. So he said that coming to the set, as we heard from Aaron, they put you in this bus, and he said the second you come over the edge and you see everything, he said it was like going straight into the TV. He said there were these huge fans that were about the size of a 5-ton truck in like the box of it.
Yeah.
To make the sandstorm effect, and there were 150 people around, all to accomplish this Egyptian vision. They had the huge statues like buried, and those statues weren't miniatures. They were actually just massive, like dump truck sized statues.
Nice.
And he said the heat was insane, but it was he's actually worked on multiple films, and he said this was his favorite experience. It felt like a really big movie, a big boost to the region, and he was like super excited to talk about it, actually.
Awesome.
And so thank you very much to Bill for fitting in a call to talk about that.
Thanks, Bill.
It was awesome. It was also very last minute, so really appreciated it.
Sweet.
Yeah, and that's my my small town impact for Night at the Museum number 3.
All right. Well, now it's this real time.
Real time.
As in, what are we gonna give this movie for a rating?
This movie.
What's our rating scale? Do we allow half points on this one? I think I think we said we could, right?
I think we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna give a half point?
No.
Yeah, I know you. This movie, for me, Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, is a 3 out of 5.
A 3.
A 3.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my rating as well. It's
I
a 3
thought
out of 3 out of 5.
It's like I would watch it again.
Yeah, I would
It's
definitely watch
it's
this
a fun
again.
movie.
Definitely watch this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty easy.
Perfect.
All right.
Painless.
We're done.
We are done.
Social media.
On that note, social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Small Town Big Screen. You can find us maybe on X. That's up in the air. We'll see. at STBS_podcast or _pod. Sorry. And if you'd ever like to reach out to us, give us comments, notes, constructive or otherwise, you can reach out to us at smalltownbigscreen.pod@gmail.com or on Reddit at STBS_podcast. Or you can find us in the street.
It's true.
You can. We'll do autographs
All right.
for a fee.
We will?
I'll do it for free. I'll do anything.
I actually gave an autograph recently.
Really?
I'll share it on the other podcast.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, check out the other podcast too. In that case,
Oh, yeah, you can check out the
for
other-
the full story.
Yeah. Which is the Samuel Manuel Movie Podcast.
Yeah.
That wraps up episode 2 of Small Town Big Screen. I'm one of your hosts, Manny Manuel.
And I'm Kyle Robertson.
Adios.